All right, guys. So the title of my speech is called Are Spirits Real? My general purpose is to persuade. So take a moment, sit, think, and ask yourself these questions. Have you ever wondered and or thought about what happens to our spirits after we pass away? Have you ever encountered a spirit before? Do you believe in spirits? Have you ever communicated with a spirit before? This is something that I've always been interested in knowing since I began watching YouTube videos of people communicating with spirits in various of ways. In fact, millions of people are interested in ghosts, and in a 2013 Harris poll, it was found that 42% of Americans actually believe in ghosts. That's crazy. Each question will be answered as we look at the process of crossing over to the spiritual world, the equipment that experts use to detect spirits, and the ways people communicate with these spirits. Now that we have a clear understanding of what we'll be talking about, let me share the process of crossing to the spiritual world with you guys. The spiritual world is, in fact, the realm that we humans enter after death. It is an intermediate realm that is situated between heaven and hell, and it can also be thought as a sorting out zone from which spirits go to either heaven or hell. In the spiritual world, there are three states that people might pass through. The first state, people are exactly the same as they were in life, still contain all their memories, have the same beliefs, attitudes toward things, and manifest the same surroundings that they had on earth. When entering the spiritual world, people often meet their friends, their spouse, or relatives that crossed over before them. It's primarily a place where a person's inner nature becomes the whole of their being. Friends and relatives become the new arrival's guide to the spiritual world, and with the help of good spirits, the person's true inner nature will gradually be revealed. However, depending on how long it takes for a person's outer nature to harmonize with their inner nature, the first state can literally last from a few hours to a year or even more. Now that we know everything about the first state that people might pass through, let's share with you guys the second state. In the second state, the person becomes aware of the deeper parts of his or her inner nature. They start saying what they really think and act according to their inner values, or basically how someone on earth might act when no one's watching or won't even get caught, or what they feel without worrying about appearances or making others happy. At this point now, the sorting out begins. Now that we have discussed about what happens in the second state in the process, let me share with you guys the third and final state that people might pass through. In the third state, the person's both inner and outer nature is revealed and will determine if they will go to either heaven or hell. And wherever they end up, whether it's heaven or hell, isn't basically a punishment. It's just simply the place where they feel the most comfortable. Now that we have talked about the process of crossing over to the spiritual world and the three states that people might pass through, let me share with you guys the equipment that paranormal experts use to detect spirits. All paranormal investigators, whether it's a TV show, a movie, or a YouTube video, that go to these haunted houses and want to know answers about a certain spirit's tragic event on how they died, or basically just to prove that spirits actually exist, and will always bring certain equipment with them to detect those spirits. So the first common equipment that paranormal experts use is called the EMF meter, which basically stands for electromagnetic fields. Before EMF meters were used to detect spirits, they were used to diagnose problems with electrical wiring and power lines. Now, they use these to look for spikes in the EMF signals, with spikes suggesting change in electrical current and thus a spirit being. John Joe McFadden, who was a professor of biomedical and life sciences at the University of Surrey, proposes that the conscious mind consists of an electromagnetic field that doesn't disintegrate when we die. However, it is unknown whether paranormal energy is above or below the standard setting of the EMF meter, which makes things difficult. McFadden's three basic theories are: ghosts consist of electromagnetic energy, they disrupt the energy in the location, and they use the energy to manifest which allows the EMF meters to track energy that is way beyond normal. The next common equipment that paranormal experts use are dowsing rods. In order to use these dowsing rods to find spirits, most dowsers would recommend that you use two L-shaped rods made from brass metal or some sort of lightweight metal. If you search and concentrate on what you're looking for, you can find spirits, anomalous energy, and even dimensional portals just by using these dowsing rods. Who would have known? Walk about the location that you're at and follow where the rods lead you. Now at this point, the rods point in the direction of any energy that you detect. And once you discover the energy source, rods cross, signaling that the area in question has now been found. Let's pause for a moment to summarize what we've found so far. First, we have discussed the process of crossing to the spiritual world. And second, we have talked about the equipment that paranormal experts use to detect spirits. We are now in position to see how people communicate with spirits. Communicating with the dead is serious business and requires advanced expertise, and the best people for that are mediums, which are professional connectors who facilitate dialogue between the living and the dead. According to Jessica Linyandu, who was a medium with 2 decades worth of experience, says that becoming a medium means that you can hear, see, and feel those who are no longer in their physical bodies. All divine practices require study, practice, and most of all, patience. But you need to be especially careful with your approach when dealing with the dead, because you have no idea who you may encounter when contacting the dead, and you may be in contact with some sort of entity or demon. But here are 2 tips and tricks for those seeking self-guided experience and want to communicate with a friend or loved one or spouse that passed away. The first is setting up different conductors. When you're preparing to make contact with the dead, set up several different conductors within the space you have. Spirits are well known to communicate through candle flames, liquid, and scent. Audio and video recordings devices such as a spirit box or a simple and well qualified but quality camcorder are effective conductors that can be used in real time to aid transmission. Second is don't speak with affectation. Always try to communicate with spirits authentically, be respectful, use thoughtful words, and use a calm tone throughout the dialogue. Be direct and communicate exactly what you would like to say and what you are experiencing. Now that we have discussed everything there is to know about spirits, let me share with you guys the concluding statement. So we have seen the process of crossing over to the spiritual world, the common electronic devices that paranormal investigators use to detect spirits, and the various ways that people, mediums, communicate with spirits. So believing in spirits is a big part of a larger web of related paranormal beliefs, including near-death experience, life after death, and spirit communication. The belief offers people comfort, so who doesn't want to believe that our beloved but deceased family members aren't looking out for us in heaven or with us in our time of need? And here is my works cited page of where I've gotten all my information from. So I really do hope that you guys learned something from the speech, and hopefully I persuaded you all to believe that spirits are in fact real in our world. Thank you.